I have my dream job, but even dream jobs have not so dreamy parts. That's where ServiceNow's AI specialists come in. They don't just tell you what to do about your busy work, they actually do it. That way your team can focus on what matters. To learn how to put AI to work for people, visit servicenow.com. Hey everyone, welcome to Served. I had to train myself not to say quick served.
Oh yeah.
After these 2 weeks.
It's been a long time.
Actual Tuesday release. Brought to you by ServiceNow. As always, please subscribe. Thank you for those of you who joined us for the last 2 weeks over on Quick Served. Back to a more regular cadence, although it's a lot of stuff cooking. We might have, I don't know. We have a lot of stuff. I don't know if we can get it in just a...
We got a lot of stuff going on before
weekly.
Wimbledon.
Yeah, a lot of stuff. John Wertheim back with us. He's had a very quiet week. No one's mentioned his name for any reasons at all. Everything's fine. Right, John?
It's fine. The warm bath of tennis. I don't know what I was just watching matches. I don't know what you're referring to.
Yeah, no one does. We'll just, nothing to see here. JW, listen, you were around the grounds.
Quite a lot.
For the last couple of weeks. I guess just a lazy question. I should be better than this with a journalist of your caliber, but what were some of your takeaways from the last couple of weeks?
Pretty standard major. You know, we had a poll. We had a woman from Poland in the final. Yep. We had a man from Italy in the men's final.
Yeah, just like I predicted.
Yeah, you know, just I love tennis, and I was thinking one of the reasons why is just the wild unpredictability. And remember, I don't know, what was it, 4 or 5 months ago, we came out of Australia and we said, well, the matches were kind of duds, but, you know, at least we got all the stars in the end. And, you know, the semis had Carlos and Zverev, and we had Novak beating Jannik, and the two best women played. This tournament was the absolute complete reverse. It's like I read a mystery 1 week and then we switched over to sci-fi. I mean, it was just completely different cadence. The matches were spellbinding and wacky and back and forth. It was hot. There were dozens of 5-setters. There were, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but there were I think a record number settled in a decisive set tiebreak, men's and women's together. We had seeds. I mean, it was just absolute chaos. And then honestly, the air it was complete reverse of Australia. The air kind of came out of the tournament a little bit on the back end. But, you know, great. We've got teenagers advancing. We've got Brazil as an emerging superpower. I don't know if you want to go here. We can save it. But there was a lot of talk about the grass. I mean, this whole Serena comeback news that we sort of casually kickstarted with our conversation. I didn't realize it was quite
wasn't hey dude,
controversial as we thought.
It wasn't me. It was you.
It was us. We're a team. Collective action. We're a unit.
Fine.
It was us. Podcast. No, I don't know. Honestly, it was a really, really fun event. It was wildly different than the previous major. Zverev breaks through, Andreeva breaks through, two different players, different circumstances. Funny how players like a decade apart can both have a breakthrough, but how the circumstances could be so different. A lot of sometimes, I don't know, tell me if you have the same, sometimes majors answer questions, sometimes they provoke questions. A lot of questions suddenly around Jannik Sinner. A lot of questions around Iga, a lot of questions around Sabalenka. I mean, I think this, Wimbledon's going to be interesting. The great news is that there's another chapter in this narrative 3 weeks from now, but this was a wacky, I mean, I wasn't around for I don't think I was, you were there, but for Gaston Gaudio beating Coria or, I mean, we've had a lot of sort of consistent winners, and this was just a kooky, wacky fun ball. This was a wild event.
The last time, I think Sinner going out in the way that he did, up 2 sets, up 5-1, and then as soon as it got to the 4th set, you're he has no chance. I'm trying to think of a match that sent a jolt through the tournament that created hope and possibility for the entire field. I'm trying to think of one 25-minute section from when he goes, up serving 4 to 5-all, and I don't know that he can make it through this thing at all. And the only thing I can come up with that was maybe as shocking, and I don't think it was was when Rafa finally lost at Roland Garros to Soderling. And then you're going, all right, is Fed going to win? Is he going to complete the career slam? And he kind of played the role, like not to the same effect because it was about a career slam and an opportunity to win at Roland Garros, but not completely far away from will Zverev break through and win. Like Rafa loses, the focus goes to Roger's quest for the career Grand Slam. I feel like this entire tournament shifted, in a 25-minute section of events.
What I think we talked about, the one irony is that Rafa in 2009 and Sinner this year were the two most sweeping favorites, and neither of them came through. I tell you, it went kind of overlooked. You know who else was a game from the finish line, and it wasn't heat related, and it wasn't a physical breakdown, but
Sabalenka.
That Sabalenka lost. Yeah. So you had both top seeds, literally points from advancing, and couldn't close. And like overwhelming leads. It wasn't like, I don't know, she was up like a set in 5-2 or something. 5-1.
4-1 and 30 love?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was significant.
That's not good.
No.
I gotta say, I feel like Andre, by accident or design, sort of, I don't know if you caught his remarks about Sinner, but I think, a lot of people, hey, what do I know? I've never played I've never played a 5-set match. It's hot out there. Everybody sort of tiptoed. I think a lot of people were like, kind of weird that his body gave out the way it did. Like, yeah, he's played a lot this spring, and we know from Australia, and everyone sort of suddenly became an expert on pigmentation and hydration and salt sweating, but it was all just speculative bullshit. My joke was, you thought Berrettini had a HIPAA problem. But no, I mean, everybody was speculating about an athlete's personal health without having any sort of details. But then when Andre came almost a week later and made his remarks, which I'd encourage people to check out, I think that kind of reignited this discussion of, was this really a pivotal moment, and what the heck really happened? That sort of, on the ground, that remark was everywhere.
Yeah.
And
okay, so I'm texting with Andre, like I text all the time, and he said that he actually talked to Darren first, because there's like a complexity there with, you don't share, a decade with someone, or maybe it's not quite a decade, but you don't share that amount of time with a coach and then blindside them. Like, you just don't do that. And Darren, to your point, he said someone needs to wake up the perceived experts, right? Like, everyone has a theory, but I did say this to Andre. I said, yes, and you have the credentials to say it. Not just some blowhard saying something for clicks, and I think that's why it landed. Right? This isn't some, person somewhere saying something they don't understand. Like, Andre understands what it is to prepare and to, be the guy and to have eyeballs on you and all that. And there's like, he doesn't need a job, so therefore he can actually just say it. It was interesting. I said on air the other day, he left me a voice note, which I cannot play on air, in Australia when it was the Sinner-Spizzirri matchup, and it was kind of the same thing. It's like this. I don't exactly care for standing on the sun if you're an hour and 20 minutes into a match. Now do we know everything? Probably not. Is it going to get asked about it? Absolutely. Is it unfair to say that under like any circumstances you should be able to, get through an hour and 40 minutes? Yeah, I think that's fair criticism. I think Jannik would tell you that was fair criticism.
I think so too, and I also think it's, we've had players have trouble. We've had rivalries. We've had players that have trouble with certain matchups. We've had players that are injury prone, and the Delpos of the world who just kick the injury bug. I can't recall this, and the one thing I think we need to make clear that Jannik Sinner does not cut corners. This is not a guy who's cheating on his fitness. I mean, this is something that a real expert needs to explore. This isn't a case of his being lazy or out of shape or anything like that. But, we said before the tournament, what could stop Jannik Sinner? And it was a what and not a who. And the what, without, credit to Cerundolo as well. But, it certainly, the plot thickens. And I think you're totally right. Andre coming in, not just with the credibility, but with the Darren relationship. Andre is, on the one hand, the guy's kind of, he doesn't need to work. he's kind of at a point in his life where he's out of fucks. But he also, this is not a hothead. This is not
he's not
someone who's just popping off. He's speaking from knowledge. So.
Listen, Andre went away. We didn't see him for 15 years. He's not in the attention business, right? He's not one of the ones who, needs to be at every match, doing every match, in the mix, never was away from tennis. Like, that's not his deal. He only came in for 4 days, but he left a little bit of a trail. But I don't know that anyone's looking at him and saying like that's completely out of line or unfair. It is. He
has the credibility.
Well, it's also shocking to see. Like, I said yes. Listen, hot in Paris is different than hot in Washington D.C. Right? So like we're talking to like one of the days it was like 91 and everyone's like it's so hot. I'm like, this is every match of the U.S. summer for 5 weeks. Like this is an off day. So sure, and there's not really time to acclimatize. Like going to the U.S. summer, you're getting into that heat a little bit. Going to Australia, you should be able to get into the heat a little bit to get used to it. This was out of nowhere after you've been playing in 60-degree weather in Europe for 5 weeks, and it's just not going to go away if through the first 2 majors of the year you were able to survive the Sbiziri match. But I think he was, I said this back then, I think he was done in that match if he doesn't get the benefit of the rule, not some person's choice, the rule that specifically states you have to close the roof at a certain time. So this is an issue that you can't just really like sweep under the rug because I guess it's chronic at this point.
Yeah, the flip side is this is theoretically solvable. Mike, I'm sure you know this. UFC fighters all the time go to these labs and they get every sort of perspiration test and they get hydration tests. And you talked about it with Carlos
Novak, by the way,
3 years ago when he went in that full body cramp and said, listen, he needs to sort of tidy this up. And he did. So I do think this is a solvable problem. There's sports scientists and clinics that specialize in this, but I can't recall seeing this. And I was thinking just sort of big picture. We're in this weird spot where Sinner, absolutely dominant player, and he's won, whatever the math is, one of the last 5 majors. And Sabalenka hasn't lost her grip on number one either. She's like won one of the last 6. So you have these 2 number ones who are very firmly in position. Combine 2 of the last 11 majors, that's all they've won. So, this is, Wimbledon will be here before we know it, and we'll have a new set of answers and questions. But this was this was a while. The plot writers got a little kooky on this tournament.
I'll tell you this: I'd rather have to solve a problem with physicality, preparation, hydration, food, whatever it is. I'd rather have to solve that and know that I'm a dominant player in the world, and I'm not the problem isn't my game. It's these things that I have to find to let my game, I'd rather be in that situation than be fully hydrated and not being able to hit a fucking backhand. That's not that was ever my reality, but I'd rather be in Sinner's position with that to solve than, not being number 1 in the world and not having won a bunch of thousands.
I think when you think about the rest of the field too, right? They all had to endure this. Through the first 3 rounds, I think there was something like 20 matches over 4 hours. I think we ended up with 22 overall, and I think something like 32 5-setters just on the men's side. Yep. So it was. I think that was the over 4 hour matches. I think that beat the previous record by 5. It was a war of attrition amongst the entire field, and I don't think we'll see that again. So guys were limping into the quarters and semifinal matches.
Yeah, through the first 9 days, the narrative of recovery was ever present, right? And people were doing it. Arnaldi, he eventually gave out. It's like, and I think we mentioned this. I don't know. If not, I should have. Like, he plays that much. At some point, your body has to give.
Yeah, you talked about it.
Right? Like, you play 18 hours, your body is exhausted. You got nothing left. You're more prone to, like, viral illness than someone who's played 10 hours and who has been able to completely recover all the time, every day. It's just, I was just trying to, like, I enjoyed this tournament just because it was full of hope and you didn't feel like you could skip to the ending.
Yeah.
You know,
Exactly.
like I enjoyed
really well put,
I enjoyed not knowing how, because I mean, let's be honest, for 25 years, or I'd say since Roger, like in 04, probably, it's been outside of the French Open, and that was even when Nadal came and won the French Open the next year. Like they were kind of like, a lot of the tournaments were pretty spoken for. We were all trying our asses off, but like, you know, it took something crazy happening. This felt like the 90s when, you know, Jaime Izaga beat fucking Pete one time at the U.S. Open.
Beat Sampras.
Yeah, like there were random Jerome Haynel beats Agassi, you know, too, at the French Open. Like there was shit would happen sometimes, and it would open up entire sections of draws. Now, you know, don't take that as me. Listen, I want to see Sinner and Alcaraz at their best for as long as we can see it. It's been great. I'm just saying, you know, if you drink the same thing every day, it's kind of refreshing when you have something different.
Yeah, I mean,
This was the outlier.
if I would have told you before this tournament that our two winners would have been first-time winners and they would have been born a decade apart, you would have had no idea who I was talking about.
I would have said one of them is Zverev.
One of them was Zverev.
Yeah.
Right?
You would have?
Probably, yeah. I mean, you know, listen, the other thing I'll say, and I said it quickly in the recap show, and I'm curious to hear you just finished talking with Zverev's team, and you're just fresh off to level set. I know you all are listening to this on Tuesday morning. JW literally went from the courts to his room and we started the recap show. So you're fresh off of kind of the Zverev car wash where they're reacting to his win. I mean, they have to be ecstatic and relieved.
That's the key word. I mean, there is a real mix, and I have to say, I mean, look, let's just we're truth tellers here. I mean, opinions about Zverev are all over the place, and we don't invalidate any of them. But one thing I think you got to give him credit for is there was no self-delusion here. He knew what the rap on him was. He knew that this was the one missing element. This was his 25th title. I think he went over like $65 million in prize money. I mean, this is a player who has accomplished everything but this major, and he knew that his tennis definition was going to be, is he or is he not going to win a major? And he kind of leaned into that. So there was this weird mix of absolute joy. We were joking, he fell on his back, and usually a guy wins a guy wins a set 6-1, 6-love, even if it's a big title, and it doesn't quite have the emotional propulsion, but he fell to his back, and one of the reasons was this relief and the fact that he knew what the deal was. He knew he'd been in a fit. I think something else about this tournament that I wanted to add that kind of fits into this is that all conventional wisdom went out the window, right? So like Mensik in the second round gets carried off on a stretcher, and you're like, he's cooked.
Well, especially playing Demon the next round.
Yeah, exactly. He's playing Divinor. It's like, oh, I wonder if he'll even get a set. He rolls through to the semis. And so you say, oh, the momentum's all going in the other player's favor. And then Casper Ruud is looking great. And then Casper Ruud recovers and wins another 5-setter. So not only is health and recovery so critical, but the conventional wisdom of who had it and who was going to be beat up and who was, Cerundolo plays a 5-setter and then he plays another one. And this match had the same thing. This was sort of the perfect capstone match. It was not the greatest tennis. It was batshit crazy. It was drama. It was entertaining. And Caboli stones that volley at set point, and then he hits this absolutely brilliant stone cold winner to push it to a fifth. He leaves the court. That's kind of weird. You'd think he'd want to keep the momentum going, and then he sort of hits the wall. And I feel like that was a pretty good metaphor for this tournament. Everybody said, oh, Zverev's in trouble. This match went to a fifth. He was 2 points from winning a major. It's, he looked scar tissue.
He looked cooked after 4 sets, by the way.
He looked absolutely cooked. And you're like, oh, the accumulated scar tissue and more interest to the accumulating interest. And then he closed it out in like 20 minutes. I don't know what the time of that last set was, but it was barely competitive. And it was sort of the perfect encapsulation of this entire event. Not only strange results, but strange process to get there as well. And but anyway, to your question that you asked about 5 minutes ago before I started filibustering, this was joy, this was relief. Jez Green is there, and he's the physical guy.
I've always really liked Jez Green, even back when he was with Murray. I think he's great.
100%. And this was also a match that showed that it's very easy shorthand to say mental versus physical, but this was as much about sort of keeping the body and dealing with the stress imposing itself on the body and the mind. I mean, this was really the overlap of mental and physical. And it was, 4 hours and 16 minutes. There were cramps. There were, I don't know if you caught they made a big deal out of it. I was watching with Petco. We were like, you can't do that. When Marcelo Melo came to the side of the court and gave him tablets and a drink and some advice, we're like, I didn't know that was in the rule. I mean, this match sort of had it all. Zverev got it together. There's joy. There's relief. He gets his first major. He didn't have to beat a top 10 player to get there. And you know what? It doesn't matter. He beat the players on the other side of the net. He won 7 matches. And his whole career has been redefined.
Does it change when Melo gives you something that you're missing? Does the umpire take into consideration that Zverev's a type 1 diabetic?
He had already given himself a shot during the match.
I know, but I'm just saying,
he gives himself a shot. Yeah.
But my favorite part, yes to everything you just said, was completely gratuitous with a shot clock. Like Zverev at that point, he was willing probably to take the time violation, which is his prerogative. But in true, this tournament form where we're not using electric line calling and it completely fucks Casper Ruud in the second set of a match, where we're not moving fucking linesperson things that sit in front of them and players are getting injured tripping over them. I like how you let the clock go to 45 seconds. In that scenario, you let Zverev get away with it for 20 seconds longer than the clock. And then right as he's about to serve, you call time violation, which causes us to lose another 20 seconds. What the fuck are we doing? Either do it or don't do it.
Right.
What are we doing? It was absurd. I don't know. It was just wacky all around. I'm happy that you said it. This was a pass-fail course for Zverev. There was no, he played hard, played great, he'll take something from this. There was nothing to be taken from this unless it was the big trophy. I don't know that I remember another scenario in tennis where it was yes, no, zero room for middle ground. And I don't think that was, and listen, I always try to explain, or at least do my best to explain from the player's perspective, and that this sport isn't easy. Right? Let's talk about why it's hard. Let's talk about why it's difficult. It's not an accident. I said the other day in a recap show, it's never an accident when Kaboli hits 3 winners and has 16 errors in the set 1 of a Grand Slam final. That's not just nervous and I forgot how to play tennis. It's all because of patterns and how someone else effectuates the rallies and everything else. This was an absolute pass-fail course for Zverev. There was no middle ground. Even for someone who's understands it and doesn't like it when people just use things like that, just flip the switch and play better. Okay, fuck me. God damn it. That's you can't really, that's not easy. But he passed. Doesn't matter who he played, doesn't matter how he did it, doesn't matter. There was no style points. This isn't up to the judges. Mm-hmm. This is win the last point. This is winning 3 sets 7 times in 14 days, or in Roland Garros, 15 days. Got it done. And earned it, did it. I don't care who was in the tournament.
It's a great point. You're knocking down that free throw or you're not. This is a binary. And sometimes you can say, it was COVID and it was wacky. We couldn't find any rhythm because there were no fans. And you can say Carlos was just too good. And, on a hard court, Sinner is just too. This was, listen, dude, you're either walking out with that trophy or you're not. And there's really, and also, no Carlos, no Jannik. I thought a Djokovic getting the crowd and turning this into the 91 Open and sort of hijacking the tournament was a real chance. None of those impediments. He played 2 night matches. He spent less time on the court. There was just, he woke up this morning and it was basically like, you're either gonna do this or you're not. And no bullshit, no excuses. And there's no way to spin this as anything other than success or failure.
Yep. Mike, you're going to be proud.
What?
You want to know what I'm going to do right now?
What?
Before we come back and talk about the influx of young talent in tennis, we're going to take a break.
Yes!
We did it.
Let's do it.
Here we are. Thanks for listening to Served. We will be right back. Chuckers, we're coming up on our big trip to London, and as we all know, the tour schedule is relentless. Travel isn't always easy for the fans either. All across the globe, tennis fans are watching the tour calendar and draw releases to plan their dream trips. Here at Served, we're We're still planning our itinerary in London, but at least we locked in the most important part. Our home for the tournament, which we found on Airbnb. Fans like me will be looking for a home away from home over the next few months. Whether it's next door to us in London or later this summer in Montreal, your home could be worth something right now to fans around the world. So become part of the story. You can list your space on Airbnb, give those fans exactly what they're looking for, and even make some extra money while you're at it. Your home might be worth more than you think. Find out how much at airbnb.com/host. This episode is brought to you by ServiceNow. Look, I have my dream job. I watch tennis, I think about tennis, I talk about tennis, but even dream jobs have not so dreamy parts. The stuff that gets in the way of the actual work. That's where ServiceNow's AI specialists come in. They don't just tell you what you should do about your busy work, they actually do it, start to finish. Cases closed, requests handled, no extra work for you. That way, you and your team can focus on the work that matters, which for me is explaining at length why tennis players are the best athletes on earth. Sorry, everyone else on earth. To learn how to put AI to work for people, visit servicenow.com. All right, back to the show. Hey everyone, welcome back to Serve, brought to you by ServiceNow. Another story of this tournament, past the long matches, then kind of the craziness and the chaos that felt like it was ever present during the first 9 days. There was a youth movement in a big way, and obviously the biggest, kind of bearer of that youth movement ended up winning the tournament on the women's side. Mirra Andreeva. It felt inevitable at some point. I don't know that a lot of people had her on like the first 3 or 4 favorites for this tournament, maybe in that second pack, JW, but she was dominant for this, especially during the second week of this event. What did you see from her?
I saw a 19-year-old veteran.
Yeah.
She was great.
Yeah.
She was poised. I give you a lot of credit for this. I like 18 months ago, you texted us, and I couldn't tell if you were being sarcastic or not. We were like, she's bomb, and that serve is a cannon.
Serve's good.
I'm like, Mirra Andreeva does a lot of things great, and she anticipates, and she's very clever. But I never. And then her serve. Go look at her serve stats from this tournament. I'm always a little weird. I'm always a little ambivalent about coaching. It's the players out there. It's their ass on the line. They're the ones hitting. But I do think like Conchita Martinez should come in for a round of applause. But I thought Mirra Andreeva kept it together. Some of these fits of peak, these sort of, not atypical for a 19-year-old, but that have crept into her game in the last year, nowhere to be seen. She won the matches she had to win. She's very comfortable on clay. She was poised. She was, it was an absolute banner 2 weeks for her as well. And again, very different circumstances from Zverev, but there was a sense, Prakash and I talked to her mid-tournament, and she's basically like, finally, let's see if I can finally get one of these. So you get the feeling I'm like, dude, you're 19 years old. I think she was getting a little impatient, and I just thought she was terrific. I mean, imagine going to we think of pressure as 4-all in the final set. Pressure is also being an overwhelming favorite, 100+ ranking points higher than your opponent to win a major. And she kept it together. She never let said opponent, who we should probably discuss as well, into the match.
Yeah.
She was terrific. I thought Andreeva was just A+. And if Conchita Martinez, gets a tip of the cap, I wouldn't object to that either.
Yeah, one of the things that I'm excited to see, Andreeva was no notes. She went through, only got better as the tournament went on. Regrouped after Indian Wells, Miami. That was a bit of a dumpster fire for her. Went to the clay, started going to work, had a win early in the clay court season, and put up results pretty much the whole way. One of the things that I'm most impressed with is her ownership of different facets of the game already. Right? We talked about her serve 2 years ago as a liability. I watched that. I remember exactly when I was kind of like, oh shit, she can serve well. It was in the Middle East run where she won in 25 before she won Indian Wells. And she was getting through service. She would have service games where she would click through them, those 5-point service games. She was clicking through them pretty well. But her ability to switch up ball flights, right? She plays Chwalinska, and, she hits lobs and she's happy going and hitting lobs back. And then once one's short, she has the toolkit to take your head off too, right? She can come in, she can hit drop shots. She moves. Her physicality in the last 2 years, I dare you to Google her 2 years ago versus now. She is strong, like shoulder strong, leg strong, base strong. You felt like you were watching, I mean, like, you know when there's an animal you know is going to be very strong, but they're like still in their infancy, like a giraffe or something, where they're kind of a little weak and they haven't gotten there yet. That was a couple of years ago. She's a bull in the best way right now. Like, she is very physical, can play different types of games. Those options are going to serve her well in the future, and they already are when she's not playing great, right? When she's not playing great, she's not going through someone. Oh, I can go into defense mode and mix up shots until I find my groove again. She's going to be able to strategize for different matchups, which she did in this tournament. I think she's only going to get better. She doesn't rely on just overpowering someone. So if it's not working, then there's no plan B. She has plan B, C, and D. Like, it's a amazingly well-rounded game before you get to the fact that she's 19 years old.
Remember, you old enough to remember when people said, this sport has gotten so physical, we have seen our last teenage major champion?
I wondered it, by the way. I wondered it out loud. Very, very, very audibly. I was one of those.
This is all in the spirit of, this is all in service of healthy growth. But yeah, great tournament for the, we talked about, we can talk about Fonseca, we can talk about Jodor, we can talk about how they endured best of 5 matches. We can talk about, remember our guy, I'll give you one. I'll give you two. I'll give you 2 fun notes. One of them, he was younger than the junior champion.
Yeah, I saw that.
Who was younger than the junior champion?
Kouame.
Oh, yeah.
And also the how
Brazilian
cool would this be? Guto Miguel. Man, Brazil is like the new Italy. I mean, go look at the junior draw in boys and girls. There are a lot of good players from Brazil, but this kid from Brazil is going to be a star. Guto Miguel. Like, really smooth, powerful, handsome guy. So I'm hearing my moles tell me he would like to just be known as Guto, like Neymar or Ronaldo.
Like Seal?
The ATP.
Done.
Like Seal?
Exactly.
Like one name?
How
like
cool.
Serena?
Keep winning. Keep
Seal,
winning, bro.
Like
McLovin?
Like all the
greats?
How, I think that the ATP's got to figure out what to do with that on scoreboards, but I'm all for it. We need a Neymar. We need a single name tennis player. Guto, remember the name. He was great. But it's I don't know. I mean, I'm curious, we don't have to go here now on a rap show, but I'm curious what you attribute this to. All we hear is this sport's getting harder and harder. It's more physical, the technology, and yet we have this influx of teenagers. And they also, like you were talking about Andreeva, they don't play like knucklehead teenagers who just go out there with live arms and pop balls. There's actually some, including Kouame. I mean, like I said, he had more drop shot winners than aces for like a big strapping 16-year-old. And they also endured best of 5 matches. So I don't know if you have a quick and easy answer, but it seems like we're reversing our age trends here.
Yeah, I wish I did. I was one of them. That was, with as physical as the game's getting, are we going to see 18-year-olds, win majors now? Now, I will say there's a difference between Andreeva winning at 19 and Hingis winning at 16. I think there's a lot of space between those two, but it's pretty exciting. Like, it's not even just young players that are doing well. It's young players that have irrefutable star power. Like, you see Fonseca take a swing at a forehand, you're like, Jesus, that's absurd. I mean, Kouame looked like he was totally comfortable in his home slam.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he was eating up the crowd. And
but
also, loved it.
You also have like a group that, if you've been watching Roger, Rafa, Sinner, there's like a weird lack of ego, but without giving up any confidence. Mm-hmm. Right? There's like you feel like Andreeva lost it in Indian Wells, got criticism. As I do, I kind of laugh when people just snap. But you didn't see a hint of it at the French Open. So it seems like this younger generation, listen, do they make mistakes? Yes. Did I think for a second in that final that Andreeva was going to like let it slip and like Indian Wells it? No, I didn't. she'll do it again at some point, and everyone will be like, she hasn't learned anything. I'm like, well, not really. She kind of snuck into Roland Garros, but she didn't do it in between. I think these young players have the ability to make the space between mistakes larger.
Well, I mean, we shouldn't forget about the teenage women. There's Mboko and Ivajovic.
Amazing.
They have the same kind of makeup, right? Like we've interviewed both of them.
Yala.
And you leave, and you're like, oh my,
they're grown-ups.
Why are they so much more mature than us?
Yeah.
And it's just, I think there's something to maybe this generation being eyes wide open about what the expectation is all around.
Yeah.
And embracing it early.
I don't have like an obvious explanation for it, but I'm here for it.
Yeah.
I think, and I also think it's weird that we're getting to the point where it's like, that next generation behind Sinner and Alcaraz. I'm like, man, time doesn't stop for anyone, does it?
Yeah.
Like we've already skipped to that portion of the show, but I think the young groups finished with Andreeva. I mean, it was just like, it's just exciting. You can kind of like, I watch myself watching Kouame, and I'm sitting here going, oh, in 2 years, that shot that he just missed barely he's going to be a step faster. The serve's going to be 15% bigger. The feel is there. His ability to like kind of endure pain isn't going to get worse. Like, this is all really exciting. Fonseca, I think he skipped two steps this tournament. I just do. Getting into those primetime matches and delivering, not just against Novak, the GOAT, but then doing it against Casper also. Maybe body gives out Menchik. Hopefully this means more consistency and more of that level from him. We didn't mention him with the young players. He's 20, for fuck's sake. Like,
yeah, right. He's already aged out.
Yeah,
it's
don't forget Jodor. Yeah,
Jodor. Gosh, thank goodness we finally have a good player named Rafa from Spain.
Yeah.
My God, that took days. He's legit. I mean, and took pain too. Won some 5-setters and some deep matches. Like, this did a lot. I know Zverev and kind of the long game of success is going to be a massive narrative when we look back on this tournament. And for those that remember it really well, it's going to be like, man, this was like gasoline and fire for the younger generation. It was awesome, and it got lit. You mentioned the tournament creating question marks, JW. The women's side going into Wimbledon, Sabalenka, Rybakina, Coco, the defending champion, Iga Swiatek. I think we can say for all of them, there's probably more questions coming out of Roland Garros than there were going in. I know we're going to have a couple of weeks of actual grass court tennis before we kind of prognosticate on the state of women's tennis, but a little crazy. Like there might be a hint of kind of, we need to figure it out in the top parts of the women's game. Pegula.
Name me a top 10 player other than Andreeva who left this tournament saying like, yeah, I'm okay. I'm all right with that. There were a lot of sort of, for a variety of reasons, right? I mean, Rybakina 7-6 in the third, and Sabalenka, just the wheels totally came off, and
maybe Mboko.
I can't even remember who Mboko lost to.
Madison Keys. She played fine, but it's a deep run. But yes, that's the point, right? It's like that's the example.
My joke of the week was like a Polish player got to the final of Roland Garros in the women's side. Well, what kind of odds do you think you could have drawn on that if you said it wasn't going to be Iga? But yeah, no, I think you're right. And I think, the other thing too is these 3 weeks of tennis, really 2 weeks. I mean, that Berlin draw is stacked. Serena's getting all the oxygen in Queens, but there are going to be a lot of players trying to get some form. It's nice. We're resetting. We're moving to a different surface. But yeah, we thought women's tennis had sort of settled into this two players, and we had this nice little Sabalenka-Rybakina rivalry going, and we were sort of finding some form. And then you had the Pegula-Coco level was just below it. And this contender list for Wimbledon has now gotten significantly deeper.
Yeah, totally agree. Mike, does this feel like a good time for a break before we come back with?
It does.
Rafa news.
This feels like
maybe some Serena chatter.
Yeah, let's break back.
Getting good at this.
You are. I'm proud of you.
Yes. Thanks for listening to Served. We will be right back. All right, back to the show. All right, welcome back to Served, brought to you by ServiceNow. Before we get to, you mentioned Serena taking a bunch of the oxygen, obviously going into the grass court season. Massive, massive deal. I'm so excited. I can't even contain myself. We do need to talk about one story of Roland Garros, which may have been my favorite story of the entire tournament. Chwalinska, 114 through qualies. Couldn't afford a hotel room halfway through the tournament before a sponsor came in. This is what dreams are made of, JW.
Yeah, and this was the story of the tournament. She couldn't quite close the deal and make it the complete. Cinderella metaphors were in heavy rotation.
Yep.
But this was a great tournament, and I think the fact that she did it. I mean, there was the whole backstory, and she literally couldn't get her prize money yet. So, something like we basically crowdfunded an Airbnb, and there were patch deals, and I heard she took someone from the WTA with her back to Poland because she had no one to handle this media crush. We'll see what her wild card status is. It would be criminal if she didn't get one. She was totally cool. She's 24 years old, so it wasn't this teenager that came out of nowhere. She'd had some mental health challenges that she was very open speaking about that I think waylaid her career at one point. Great story. I liked her game. Realistically, is this someone who's ever going to make the second week of a major again? I don't know, but it was a really endearing story. It was a nice reminder that everyone has a backstory. It's a reminder that, yes, these margins, cliche as it is, really are thin, and it totally changed her life. I mean, she ran out of, the final, I think, whether it was, this would have been her 10th match, the pressure, the overwhelm. I mean, she was overwhelmed and sort of ran out of gas in the final. Hardly fault her for that, but this was a great story.
I don't think it had anything to do with gas. I think it had more to do with just Andreeva matchup. Like there's nowhere to go to win. Like how does she approach that final and go, where am I consistently going to find water in this well? Mm-hmm. And I don't think it existed, but it was the best part of sports. We become the most invested when we can relate to something, right? When there's a human element. Can we relate to Carlos and Jannik? Serena?
Me personally, no.
No. Any of us, no. Can we relate to like a struggle where you want to try something, you want to do something, you want to shoot for something, and it might be in the face of your own finances? Fucking everyone can relate to that. Mm-hmm. Everyone can relate to that. It's not just the way she plays and this like kind of this poke and prod and back and forth and finding a way to navigate power from the other person, which was awesome to watch. I mean, she made the best players in the world look like they were chasing their tails out there sometimes, just with old school nuance. Like, it was brilliant to watch. But this lands. I mean, they were saying the Polish ratings were potentially more than Świątek. That's because Świątek's superhuman. Mm-hmm. Like, she's superhuman, especially in her, like, maybe we'll see it again, but in the prime run of Roland Garros, it was like these poor people that have to play her. Not like human like this story where it's like we can relate to having the cash run out and the lights turned off and getting a little help from people. Like, this was fantastic all around. It was fantastic. I mean, I couldn't get enough of this story. I thought she handled it. I don't know how she was on the ground. I didn't, see her after matches. It seemed like class all around.
She said, I recognize how extraordinary this is, but I need to stay in the moment. After the tournament, I'll process. We sort of said, how are you processing?
Yeah.
She said, look, I get it. I get how extraordinary this is. Sure. I just can't let myself go there now. She was 12 out of 10 sort of handling the occasion as well.
Let's move on to people that might have or have learned to accept success in majors. You mentioned Serena. Obviously, just my take, as soon as she goes into protocols, you hear some chatter before she goes into protocols. She goes into protocols, basically where you re-enter drug testing in October, November. You don't do that unless you want the option of coming back. You just don't do it because you want to play dingles, right? Mm-hmm. Then it becomes reality. You have a hard time thinking if she is going to do this, and she has been training, grass is, I think, her best place to actually have impact at in your mid 40s. I can't even believe I'm fucking saying mid 40s, but in your mid 40s. So I don't know that this was completely out of left field. JW got in some trouble. People, you said that, you know, there was a wild card situation and there ended up being a wild card situation.
How dare you try and advance the story? I think that I don't know. I can go 100 directions on this. I think it's very smart. Look, play doubles. She'll play with Mboko. I hear she's lobbying. Fuck it, I'll just say it. I hear she'd like to play with Coco in Berlin. I don't know if Coco Coco's trying to win Wimbledon. It's a big distraction. We'll see if that actually happens. I don't think she has a Berlin wildcard, but I don't think she has a partner, at least at this writing. She's got a huge, I heard they asked for like 27 passes. There's a documentary unit. I mean, this is a thing. And I think, look, she'll figure it out. And if her body holds up and she feels good about how she's playing, great. She'll probably take a singles wild card. If not. Or kid, there's no downside here. It's fun. It's a jolt through tennis. Her daughter will get to see her. I mean, I think ideally she holds her own. I don't know if you saw the they drew I can't remember the team, but they drew the third seed in Queens in doubles. So they're playing the proper doubles team. Also, the weather is crappy. So could you imagine Serena Williams, this global celebrity, 23-time major champion, playing like her comeback match as some doubles indoors match because they can't spare the grass for, the singles players have priority. There are all sorts of funky variables
happen, just
here.
So we're clear, that's not going to happen.
There are all sorts of wacky variables here. But it's all part of the fun. It's, it seems whimsical, but she's really strategized. That's a good point you raised. I mean, it seems like some kooky, hey, it's just kind of a throwaway. She's really strategized this. And I think what she's doing makes a lot of sense. And if she goes to Wimbledon and gets a singles wild card, that's your week one story, no matter what. So good for Serena. Let's see how she looks and feels and holds up playing doubles. And then I think this is all very tactical and smart. And maybe this is a Netflix documentary down the road. Maybe she gets out there and says, you know what, it was fun while it lasted, but I'm out. Whatever. The delta here is vast, and it doesn't matter.
There was an Athletic article that came out a little while ago, and it said, she had a quote in there where she said, "I don't need to win. I've won more than most people have in their whole lives. I don't have anything to lose. Everything is just a game."
100%.
Like, yeah, go for it.
And also,
what's left to say?
Just go for it.
Done.
I'm sorry.
Go for it.
Everyone, people have these weird opinions about this. Who's losing because she's back in tennis?
Not me.
Is Queen's Club losing?
No.
Don't fucking at me with the person who's 130 who would have gotten into doubles if she didn't get the wild card. Oh my God, please don't. This is fantastic. This is a dream. Are you kidding me? How do we maintain attention after Roland Garros?
That's an idea.
I got one.
Yeah.
Right.
Fantastic. I hope it goes well. I hope she plays singles at Wimbledon. Put it in my veins. I cannot wait. Even better, I'm going to be there. If I'm not calling that match, if I'm not involved, I want to see it. I want to see the spectacle. I want to see the circus. I want to see it all. No one can do it like Serena Williams. And also for people like, oh, she's coming back in Queen's Club. I'm like, I'm sorry. Is she going to go to Lexington? Is she going to quietly go about her? But no. That ship has sailed. She hasn't been able to do that since she was 17. No. Fuck out of here with that. That's not real. Hey, JW, you have to go on a call. I'm watching your clock. We'll finish. We have some Rafa news, but great work the last 2 weeks. We'll see you when you're back stateside.
Safe travels.
Safe travels.
Thanks, guys. Good job.
See you, man.
Talk soon.
Producer Mike, you are not done yet.
No,
we got some stuff.
No.
We got some stuff. What do we got?
So this past week, you were invited up to New York to do what?
Yeah. Some of you may have seen just a short little clip where Rafa came on our show from a press junket. Anyways, fast forward, and we got a request to moderate a conversation after the first U.S. screening of the Rafa documentary. So I got to sit down with Rafa, director Zach, and basically just ask them about the process a little bit. Rafa's answers were interesting. Zach's, and this is Zach Heinzler, he wins awards.
He's amazing
With everything. He's like
a fantastic
cream
job
of the crop. Did a fantastic job, in my opinion. But they invited us up to moderate a conversation. The room was not something we get in Charlotte.
No.
As far as who was attending that premiere.
Yeah.
Definitely didn't do anything to pour water on the fire of Rafa's star power. I'll tell you that.
Definitely not.
It was crazy. But we got the footage. And so basically what it is, we're going to turn it into the Q and Andy this week.
Yeah,
is that right?
So we the people at Netflix and Skydance were so wonderful, and we're putting out a special Q and Andy where it's you guys on stage. It's the full 20-ish minutes of that, but we have a little clip here where you had asked Rafa kind of why.
Yep.
So let's take a look.
For me, the biggest challenge was the decision, because I know myself, and when you decide to do something, or you do it, or you are doing it the proper way, or you don't do it, So when I finally, decided to move on and said, okay, let's do it, then I do it with all the consequences. Sometimes that you're going to be filmed things that you don't want to, but that's what's happening, and that's the way that's probably what Zach was saying before. When you are filming a documentary, you cannot, film only the beautiful moments. I mean, you film the real things, and that's part of the decision. That was the most challenging part. But when I finally say, okay, let's make that happen, then I move it all in with all the consequences.
Yeah, it was great. It was a lot of stuff like that. My instinct is that Rafa likes going on this stuff to talk about himself, like Techie Sean likes getting kicked in the nuts. But
good.
It was there's a couple parts of the conversation where he just dropped the audience. It was pretty funny. But anyways, I was honored to be asked and happy to do it. And if you haven't seen the doc, it's wildly interesting, kind of the weaving of past history, results, matches with what was the current state of him trying to make one last run. I thought was really well done. For me, as someone, I was close to the orbit, right? We shared the same spaces and locker rooms and in court sometimes. I never knew what the conversations inside of the room looked like with him. So I was curious about it. I thought it was really well done. I was happy to be a small part of it, and happy that they agreed to let us use the footage for this Thursday show.
Yep.
That'll be great. What else? Bracket winners? Oh,
bracket challenge winners, baby.
I'm here to accept.
Not even close.
Okay.
Not even close. You barely, you were ranked about 1,051 in your women's draw.
You were ranked 1,052.
I was ranked 2,167.
See?
So not great. But our winners on the men's side was AM99 with 1,681 points. And they, they did a good job. They picked all the way through. Of course, they had Sinner going all the way through. Somehow still won because they had a bunch of upsets.
Oh, interesting. Techie Sean, didn't you pick Zverev to win?
I did.
How'd yours end up?
I did better than all the hosts.
Yeah.
But just on the men's side, my women's bracket's
Yeah,
pretty bad.
I was only behind you by 24 points on the men's side.
I don't know how. I'm just gonna say this. If you didn't beat me this tournament, Mike,
yeah, it's never happening.
It's not.
It's never happening.
This was Zverev when Sinner went out and you choked like a dog.
Yeah, the women's draw was much closer though. We actually had two people tie for the win. We had Niam H Felicity with 1530 and Fruit Vendor with 1530, and they just edged out number 3 who had 1520. So congrats to you guys. And then our overall winner was Jack the Snack 21. Good job, Jack the Snack.
Vegas had him at 5-1 before the tournament started.
30 points, and he won the combined by 5 points.
This is great.
Yeah, so we will be sending you guys some merch. I don't know. We'll figure something out.
Like further winners. If you win the bracket challenge, and then Wimbledon comes, do you just go crazy shit again to see if it wins?
Yeah, I feel like you have to. I mean, the draw is in 19 days, and you can sign up again, and you can see if you can win the whole.
Oh, nice plug. Never shy. Never shy. In all seriousness, we're amazed anytime we hear anyone listens to our dumb little show. Thanks for sticking with us for 2 weeks. Thanks for making this show like an actual real thing. It's never lost on us. We know there's a lot of ways that you could probably spend your time. We're happy when any of it is spent with us. Our pleasure to work these last couple of weeks for you to listen. Sorry our picks weren't a little bit better.
We got next time.
There's always a next time. There's always another Grand Slam tournament. There's always going to be a first-time winner at some point, even when it seems like tennis is being dominated by the same people over and over again. World's best reality show, toughest sport in the world. We are served, brought to you by Service Now. We thank you for listening with us. Happy Roland Garros, finally. And it's Wimbledon season.
Let's go.
We'll see you soon. I have my dream job, but even dream jobs have not so dreamy parts. That's where ServiceNow's AI specialists come in. They don't just tell you what to do about your busy work, they actually do it. That way your team can focus on what matters. To learn how to put AI to work for people, visit servicenow.com.